One. We're live.
Uh, all right. Well, here it goes. You first.
You've got the intro. You're the intro man. This is your job.
Welcome to the Adam and Reed Morning Show, where we go deep into topics like the nature of self, consciousness, reality, and other things that might or might not exist. We have fun talking about these things amongst ourselves, and we try to speak out of our own experience generally and try not to tell anyone what the truth is or what they should believe. Because that's not the way. We have a few topics lined up today. Like we will be discussing what the goal of our show is. Is it just to explore, just talk casually amongst ourselves and explore these topics, or um, are we intentionally trying to kind of pull something practical out of this kind of stuff that might be a benefit to people listening or watching, which is another topic in itself. Can you actually help people? We're not talking about that today. Another topic, do you actually like or dislike anything? I like that topic, but do I? And why are we disturbed by violence in nature? Something that's totally normal and natural. Us being creatures of nature ourselves, why does anything that occur in the natural world uh, have the power to disturb us? Very suspicious. So those are the things we may or may not get to today. That's loosely an outline. If these things are interesting to you, then stay tuned. Uh, Adam, I know you're itching to get into the meat of the matter. So what's up?
I was itching, but once you started talking, I was into it. So, I mean, I was like, I'm okay with it. I was going to combat you all the way through, but this is good.
Well, algorithmically, that's a good thing because we want our show to be interesting and not shitty.
Yeah, but how do you? I don't understand. So okay. We can get into this. Here's my issue. Okay. When communicating with you this week, I was getting upset because this is what my brain is doing. In my mind, I'm the one with all the experience. You don't have the experience. So all this image of my past and my ideas about what I think will work or won't work is fighting your unique ability to come at it fresh. So yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was great. I'm into it. I would keep listening.
Well, that's yeah. So yeah, I think it's funny when you have a strong resistance to something, um, because you're very much adamantly go with the flow. What's happening is happening type of person.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was fighting myself while we were talking because I'm aware that that's how I normally am. But I'm also, when it comes to things I really care about, I'm like super, like, I have beliefs about things. And the
So
resistance is what,
I think there are areas. So no matter how much you see, we can see that belief systems are maybe given by others or are not true. We can see that uh, maybe likes or dislikes don't belong to us necessarily. We could go more into that, but there'll be these, or uh, some people have insights about the nature of themselves, what they are. But yet maybe there are these sticking points where there are things that we won't touch. Um, Kind of it's too important. We're not going to question these parts of ourselves the way we would question uh, other stuff that's maybe not so near and dear to home.
yeah, I mean, I think when strong feelings occur, that's where I know where I need to be. Like that's strong feelings, strong thoughts show me where my beliefs are and where my ego is and where I'm trying to run the show of life. That's what creates
Ba-
the pain. If I believe and act out of those things, that creates pain.
Basically, the source of your continued suffering has been revealed.
Yes, exactly.
And then the question is what's the cost benefit here? Is it worth holding on to the suffering in order to keep having this belief? And sometimes it seems like the answer is yes, I guess.
Well, there's two suffering. You can choose, like I could choose to suffer in the moment, or let's not even say suffer. Suffering is what happens when it builds up and it's not addressed. I can choose to be uncomfortable in the moment, and I'm lucky enough to realize, I'm lucky enough to be aware that this is what's happening. I've got strong beliefs and strong ideas about who or what I am that is in conflict with something that I'm resistant to. So there's something, I've got the block in me. So I can be uncomfortable with that and be present with it and work through it and try to be, just continue to try to be present for the experience. Or I can dig into it and fight you. Like I can argue with you on text and try to prove my point and try to be right.
Um,
That creates suffering.
yeah, there's some kind of saying attributed to Buddha or whatever, but it's like saying Einstein said this or that. He probably didn't actually say it. But it's the I'm, I don't remember what he said, but something about an arrow hitting you twice or whatever. Like you can the first arrow hurts, but you can avoid the second arrow, or something like that. Something like that.
I've heard
But
that.
the point is, yeah, we have the reaction or whatever. Like we have feelings.
Oh, yeah. You've got your pain and then you've got your thoughts about the pain. Now you've got two pains.
It's like I get hit by an arrow, and the arrow will fall out on its own, or I can grab the arrow and like twist it around and be like, "Why are you doing this to me?" Um,
Here's a comment from Double Spy, who I invited to come in. He's here. He
oh,
says
great.
Jung's idea about the folding of one's shadow into itself. So the idea that what we're talking about when I recognize the resistance, or when you recognize the resistance, that's the shadow. That's the unseen materializing as this resistance point.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that's the goal. I want to say the goal because I mean I'd say that's what it is to be human more fully and effectively. Is like we have a full range of experience, but we don't try to avoid that, but we don't double up on the suffering either. Like there is again a story attributed to some Zen master, like his his longtime friend dies, and then the Zen master's crying at the funeral or whatever, and then the disciple's like, "Master, why are you crying?" And he's like, "Because my friend died." Um, so I think there can be I know okay, I had this idea for a while that I was supposed to transcend all fear, all pain, all anger, all reactions essentially, and that any time I felt a reaction to anything was somehow some kind of proof against my non-attainment or non-advancement in the spiritual realm.
Yeah,
And
you
then it
felt
had,
like you were supposed to transcend all ill things, all bad things.
yeah, and like I've all my views on all that kind of stuff has drastically changed, and I don't. But like initially on the kind of the spiritual path, I thought I was doing it, and I'm trying to get specific things, and it's crazy how um, many teachers I can listen to, how many books I could read, how much Krishnamurti I could watch, Anthony DeMello I could read, Nisargadatta, like you name it, and still have these ideas, or not even realize I have this self who wants um, this result driving the whole spiritual quest. Even though I'd also read a book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, which literally addressed that specific topic. So like I'd even been exposed to this ideas, and I was aware that this was a thing, but not really somehow aware at a deep level.
I mean,
Um,
it's always like it's always there. Or I mean, the ego, this personhood, it's so close to you, you can't really see it because you are it. It's the same thing as the awareness. Like, um, and that's the weird part if we move into the Jim Newman topic. But the weird part is the moment that you're aware of it, you are it. If it personhood, like the person becomes aware. Like if I'm going to be awareness itself, and I'm aware that I'm aware, the person's back. Does that make sense? Like you don't actually. That's what Jim Newman goes on rants about. You don't actually get to be present for an experience of satori or nirvana or enlightenment. There's no one there that gets to be there for it. So
I feel like I was there when I experienced this story.
well, yeah, that's so that's
Maybe
the,
maybe that was a different level.
well, these are what
Okay.
the gurus talk about this. Like they claim to be awareness. The I am is that. I am is that.
So I want to ask along that line. We say like when you're in it, you can't be aware of it or whatever. So like, what is it? What is it that becomes aware that? Because awareness isn't in self. Awareness is not lost in self at any time. So what is it that's lost in self that seems to become aware of that? I don't I don't think that's anything like that happens. Because awareness isn't lost. So what is it that's suddenly not lost? You know what I'm saying?
So when I say person, I talk about everything that's occurring inside your own brain that is making it able to operate, move, exist in time and space. But awareness itself is just the experience of consciousness. It's just whatever it is that's happening, regardless of what I'm thinking, feeling. You said it last week. You said, what is reality is anything that doesn't take thought to continue to exist. Consciousness itself, being itself, is that awareness. And so when you said like, what is it that actually goes online and becomes like sentient? That's the person.
So when we say that, I feel that that's attributing, and so this is all a problem with language, of course, in the first place. Like that these that the difficulties in expressing or understanding this arise at all, I think, is simply a result of language, subject, object, I, me, just how it's constructed. Our thought, our capability for thinking is based on and conditioned around these kind of language basics. So it's hard. At least that's what I think. Why it gets so twisted and misleading. Is because like to even start expressing something along these lines has already injected falsehood into it. But so like I question the idea of the
Well, language gets challenging if you are trying to make a point, because both things exist. Like both things exist simultaneously. The only reason language becomes problematic is when it's trying to emphasize something over another thing.
true, which I think is quite literally the point of language, is to communicate or express a specific idea that's specifically actionable. Like go pick up that brick, not that brick. Put that brick here, and then we've got a house. So like it's the nature of language is built to do that. It's not meant to be kind of just
I always thought it was observational. I always assumed that it was about being able to communicate what's going on in our objective reality. It was about like as a tribe or as like beings going, whoa, how do we get shelter? It's like rock, go rock.
well, yes, that's what I just said.
Oh, it is
I believe so.
double.
But it's well, think about it. It's definitely not to talk about the nature of reality because that tribe is going to die really quickly.
No, what we're doing here is not useful.
Okay, so that yeah, what we're doing is a luxury essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's I suspect this kind of stuff will become more important because not for the whole world, but like for a subset of the world, our needs are met. Our survival needs are met, and they're not going to not be met. Like, even if I were to lose everything and be on the be on the street, I'd um, there's food and shelter available. Uh, if you're mentally ill or a drug addict, it gets murkier. But and like I don't have extensive experience being homeless, so don't take my word for this. But like, there's not
I'll
only in
put
a
it
very what?
I'll put it this way. Like I was at the Biltmore Estates, right?
Yeah.
Everybody lives like a noble if you want to. The most majority of all of us, and I was explaining this to Melissa. I was like, we went down to the we went down to the servant kitchen quarters where they live and make your food all day and then bring it to you 3 times a day. And I was like, Mel, you got a phone. All of us can just Uber order to our house the best chef all over town whenever we want.
They have like a built-in dungeon where all of the people made all the food.
Double says, if a forest falls in a tree and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound?
If the forest falls on a tree,
If a forest if a forest falls in a tree,
is that what he said or was that what you said?
that's what I said. I'm sorry. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? And that's about the awareness that we were talking about, person awareness, forest, environment, space out of which all occurs. That's the question. And then he says Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
So two things. So let's wrap up the survival question. So like the survival need. So the kind of the animal brain in us that drives us with our instincts and feelings. Basically, the body's controlled by feelings, produced by belief systems or thought systems. That's great for survival. In our modern world, that's not so great anymore because the belief systems are so far from reality, and our needs are largely met anyway. Maybe it's time to discard or let go of that type of drivenness as a being. Like we can explore these topics and let go of our instinctual, our kind of survival mode a little bit. Because like I can sit here and say, I don't need anything that's not present right now. If it's not present, I don't need it.
So here's what's happening. The survival instincts are manifesting through our own minds now. So the fear sensors, the anger sensors, the fight sensors, they're all occurring. That's why what we're talking about is actually more important nowadays, because the battle that we're really facing is an internal one.
Because it's all haywire now.
It's all haywire. There's no tigers. There's no need to gather food. I'm just talking about majority. Like we're in America. We're lucky to be in America. We're lucky to be in like a country that has running water and bathrooms and stuff. So when that happens, the instinctual fight or flight biological impulses are still there. They're just grabbing onto things that aren't real.
Right. So yeah, so I guess you're right. It is more important now. Just for, I mean, our society is not a sane or stable society.
Not by any means. Even our institutions are not sane or stable.
Oh, they're not.
There was a time when I feel like they might have been.
Yeah. But
and I'm not taking it anymore. That's from Newsroom.
You don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice. Here's what
yeah, what do you say?
If we don't figure out the mind, we will return to the monkey. We cannot let go or get rid of our mammalian experience.
Well, maybe we should return to the monkey. What's so much better about what we're doing now than being monkeys? They're probably way, way happier at an existential level than either I or Adam or anyone listening to the show. and certainly more so than anyone that's fully embedded in their own character story, working a 9 to 5 every day at a job they don't like.
Well, then you have the question of ethics and morality. So, like, if we were to become monkeys, like you just described, we would all become Rajneesh in Oregon, or we'd become what's his name from the Shambhala, like having causing harm to the people that we're supposedly helping, because we're just going off of the instincts or the draw to sex and violence.
No, I think that's still a warping of our human conditioning. There's no monkey sitting around abusing the rest of the monkeys trying to act like a guru. That's still a product of our own insanity as a society, that there's a guru at all.
I'd like to continue, but I don't know enough about monkeys to be able to.
I don't either, but
I don't even know enough about gurus. Jim is on the screen, though. I moved him over there. Here's what Double says. He says, I'll be your Tarzan and you'll be my Jane. I'll keep you warm and you'll keep me sane. We'll sit in the trees and eat bananas all day, just like an ape man. The Kinks.
yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Our ideas about that or what make it sound terrible or good. If there were no ideas about it, I mean, you sit in a tree all day, and when you're hungry, you grab the banana that's hanging next to you, and then you like piss off the branch you're sitting on onto a monkey below you.
But that's Zen. Zen is, if you want to understand Zen, I eat when I'm hungry. I sleep when I'm tired. I laugh when it's funny. That's Zen. I cry when my friend dies.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the point is we can do that now. And we actually, I guess, I don't know if we're fortunate or unfortunate because of this, but it's like in a way, it doesn't really matter. But in a way, we can experience all that while also having cool stuff.
Yeah.
So it's possible to have the best of both worlds. Although the cool stuff really, I mean, I've been trying to work that out for myself. I'm like, I'm okay regardless of material circumstance. Yet I'd rather have something than nothing, but I'm not sure if that's actually true or if that's just one of those kind of self things that it's kind of like doesn't want to be let go of. Like I'd rather be able to go skiing. I want to go skiing next year. Do I need to? No. Am I going to be equally happy or like okay? Yeah, but there's something. And actually, I don't even want to. I don't want anything right now. I like to stay that way. It's actually a problem if I start wanting to go skiing because then I've created a lack. That's something I don't have. But
Want me to
sometimes, what?
I could describe this.
Yeah. Describe this.
Okay, so you can't see the OBS. Everyone watching can see this. They can see Jim Newman on the screen here. Okay.
Jim Newman's not a topic today.
I know, but it was our website. It was our faces that was there, and I was like, we're already seeing. There's too much us, so I put something else.
Okay.
But it's a good point. Why is he there? I don't know. Congratulations. Now you guys, everyone gets to look at this guy. Okay, so all right. Am I going to describe this? Okay, the nothingness that we really are. If you can focus on what's occurring right now in this moment, you can see that this moment is existing and creating itself with or without our consent, and it's arising and expressing from seemingly nowhere as everything. So when somebody says nothing is happening, it's because you can't catch what's actually happening because it's changing. The moment you can become aware of it, it's past. There's no moment because the moment you think you found it, it's past. So the nothingness is the background out of which all expresses and creates itself. And I say that because you're talking about wanting to go skiing. Something I want to do that is like the mind we have this crazy ability to create a future. Like based on our intentions, based on the way I'm oriented and positioned as I move through time and space, the future creates itself through me in relationship to this. And so when you have an idea of what you want to do and you do it, it's the idea is being jumbled through all these subconscious, like referred to, Jungian shadow things that may or may not exist within our being. So you have to ask yourself, is this something I really want to do? Or is it something that I have to, you have to really like do the digging yourself to figure that out.
Well, so let's go into this our question, do you actually like or dislike anything? So this leads into that top, do I actually want to go skiing? Um what I suspect is that so I went skiing with my dad when I was a kid. We had a family vacation out to I think Denver or something, or well, you fly into Denver and then you drive to one of these places. But went to a little resort and I had I had fun. I enjoyed it. I had brought my laptop with Return to Castle Wolfenstein on it. And it's just like I'm always itching to get back in to play that rather than go skiing outside. Um, God, I wish I could like go. Yeah, like no, dude, have the skiing experience just for the practical reason of like that's going to like probably positively influence the future character.
I don't think there's a difference. That's what we would hope. That's what my parents have been trying to tell us our
I
whole
know.
lives. It's ridiculous. I don't. I if adventuring in Norath or Azeroth is just as fun as it. Well, I've had some amazing experiences on snowy mountains. So yeah, I don't
I
know.
like so I'll say better in this at the relative level of the human organism, there are situations in which it thrives and which it doesn't thrive. Right? I think there's standards we can apply to the life of a human organism, which we would say are good or bad in that realm. Um, and staying inside playing video games is not conducive to the biological or psychological needs of the human organism. I think that's just a fact.
We
Now,
can't. We can't. I don't think we
oh
could say
no,
that.
yeah, you trap someone in a dark room playing video games versus someone who's spending a lot of time outside, exercising, being with people.
But
Come on.
you have to take into account the context of our culture. You were to stick somebody on that top of that mountain without showers or intellectual insights and just by themselves cooking and making stuff, they'd have their experience, like they'd have their adventure experience, the same of the kid in the dark room adventuring in Midgard and Final Fantasy VII. Like we can't actually say that one is better than the other.
Oh, I think that's BS. And you're making that claim without I'm saying there's scientific data to back up what I'm saying. I don't think you have anything to back up your claim.
Dude, there's there's people that have spent 6,000 hours in EverQuest that are like extreme, like through their 18s and 21-year-olds that are now like insanely successful that can do whatever they want in their life.
Still
But
spend $6,000 or 6,000 hours on EverQuest?
not anymore. But my point is everything's contextual. Like it's based, there's nothing we can blanket say about what is helpful to an
I'm not
individual.
broad rule or something, but I'm saying there are like some basic um like it's better if this person eats healthy food rather than McDonald's every day. Yes or no?
Yes and
Stop.
no.
Look, it's bullshit. Yes, obviously. It's going to cause problem. The body will not be as healthy. So like is that better at some kind of absolute level? Does that necessarily make you happier or not? No, I'm not talking about that. Just talking about the functioning of a nervous system and a physical body. It's like being in community is necessary for like optimal humanism, whatever, humaning. You don't have to, but no one's forcing you to, but like you can, there's like empirical studies on this kind of stuff. And they don't need to be empirical studies because it's obvious. Like when I got into AA, I guarantee you it's not like what helped more than anything is being in a community, not staying by myself all the time, um, and being engaged in some kind of like positive service. Those are like, that's like eating and basic hygiene and breathing clean air. So it's like, but then we call that spiritual, like something spiritual happened. No, I just started intaking the correct nutrients for my body and mind. So that's another topic. What is spiritual versus what is actually just healthy physical needs?
That's a good point.
Anyway, do you actually like or dislike anything? I don't know. So I think this plays in nostalgia a lot because I experienced it with my dad as a kid. Even the type of house we lived in, the type of like Christmas parties they took us to when we were a kid, all this experiences I had as a kid, there's a drive in me to want to, or there used to be at least, a drive to want to recreate that. Want to live in a certain type of neighborhood, drive a certain type of car, dress a certain way because this is what I saw growing up. If I'd not gone skiing with my dad and I'd never gone skiing, I probably might not have a desire to go skiing. So I had to be exposed to it first of all. It's not an intrinsic desire or like. It has something to do with exposure to it.
Well, that's part of it. I think you can only like or dislike something in the moment. You can't actually say whether you like or dislike something until you're present with it.
No, our like or dislike about a thing we want to do is a projection about what we think it'll be like. So what I like, well, okay, here we go. What I like or dislike is actually the reaction I think I'll have to this event or situation. I think I'll like my reaction to doing X tomorrow. That's what we're actually saying, right?
Okay, so you're talking about like you're not talking about like you actually like making music. You're not talking about that. You're talking about if I were to say, "Do you want to go to the sweat lodge with me?" You would decide whether you like that or not before making the decision.
I would like there'd be like a mental movie that reviewed what it thinks the experience would be like, and then a decision pops up based on my projection of what I think my reaction will be, i.e., what I feel in response to the situation. I'll agree or disagree. My mental projection painted a picture of going to the sweat lodge with you and Peter and all that was involved, and then a decision pops up. No, I don't think I'll like the experience of driving down there because I thought I was going to go to the rock retreat the next week, but it turns out I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've already answered this question for myself.
Well, what's your answer?
I never know what I actually want. I'll never know.
Yeah. I mean, you can decide what you want, but the reality of you find out what you want in the moment. You said that, right?
Yeah, or you find out along the way.
Like you can decide on a mental projection of what you want. Whether or not that lines up with reality is a different question, right?
Well, that's where you get into spiritual type topics because my experience has been reality knows what I want more than I ever will.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
the reality is always present. It's always here. My brain goes everywhere but here.
So yeah, we're never without guidance in the moment about what we actually need or want, but we choose to listen to a psychotic Frankenstein that lives in our head that was implanted by a million wrong people instead of our own presence.
And even the voice in your head that thinks like the Adam that thinks it knows I love video games, I love athletics, I love exercising. I'm reinforcing narratives that I've decided. You know, like they're true to some extent, but the okayness that I'm interested in that we talked about last week is more important than whether or not I'm exercising or playing video games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even that, as I speak, I'm claiming something as that I feel I need, and I won't ever know. That's why it gets into weird esoteric philosophy and spiritualism, because there's something happening right now, and something has got this and is allowing this to occur regardless of my own will.
Yeah, so we got to say something knows what we need, and it's not us. And really, we don't really have to do anything to thrive other than stop trying to thrive ourselves.
Basically, it's a weird thing because it's like, you think about flowers in a garden, and you think, like, you were just describing all these holistic things that we could do for our bodies, like water them appropriately, get some sunlight for them, maybe move them into some different soil so they can stretch their limbs out, rather than keeping them in a dark room in front of Final Fantasy VII. Like, let's put the plants outside.
You
you
can
know
watch them thrive if you do that. Yeah.
So this is where it gets tricky, and it connects with what Double was referring to in his most recent comment. Is there's discernment is required, that whatever we're talking about and whatever ideas are being presented, it's the individual's responsibility as they move and experience themselves through time and space, through life, to discern what what works for that organism, for your organism.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And being honest about that.
what's that?
And being honest about it with yourself.
Yeah, because what I could say that for me, I recognize, like, I have the experience now of knowing experientially that reality knows me, and knows what this needs to be more than I ever will, right? But I'm also aware that at a certain point I got to get out of the couch and I got to go to Quick Trip and I got to say good morning to the guy making my coffee, because I can't get out of my own way. And like that thought that appears, or the ability to follow that thought, or the ability to experience some sort of change, I can see where it comes from, but at the time I had no idea. I had to tangle with all this stuff, and I had to think I was doing things, and I had to think that I had the answer for a little bit, and then hit another wall, and then fall back into despair, and then realize, oh, I don't have the answers, and then I have the answers again. And you just I feel like in a lot of ways my experience into realizing or actualizing presence has been like a tumbleweed, and it's still happening. It's not over yet. Like, I'm still going to be tumbling.
Yeah. So I guess at a spiritual level, this is kind of where I see us landing with God, as God being this powerful but subtle force it's just like the current of a river. It's always going, I don't want to say the right direction. It's it's always going where the river's going. Like, the current's just there, and that, like, we are carried by the current, and we kind of swim to one side, swim against it, swim to the other side, hold on to a rock, struggle, float, whatever. But it's like this current is carrying us to a destination we prefer to be. And it seems to know how to get us there. And not just me, but all of us, and in a way that's not conflict prone or contradictory, like it is when the individual will is being followed to that destination. When the individual will is followed where I think I want to go, it invariably bumps me up against other people that are trying to go their own directions. What I think I want necessarily deprives someone else of having that thing. I've got my lifestyle consumes a shit ton of resources compared to someone in a third world country that doesn't even have running water. And they might not have running water because those resources have been diverted to this country. So like there's a anyway.
Well, that's personal gain when you're acting for personal.
Right.
Gain.
So when it's rather than an individual self will rather than that guiding someone when that person is being guided by this infinitely wise force, all benefit, not just an individual. And there's not this conflict of wills that happen. Everyone actually winds up together where they're trying to go.
Yeah, it's a weird paradox, because what comes to mind is business, and the most effective and helpful business relationships I've been in have been people that know what they want for themselves, and they're honest about it. And then I know what I want for myself and my business, and I'm honest about it. And then we work together.
Yeah. Business is tricky because there's, I'd say in more cases than not, there's this self idea baked into it, though. Some self somewhere has a concrete idea of what they want. They might have a polite way of getting that involves more cooperation than fighting, but no business is out for the good of other businesses. That business would fail. That system is built around more or less have, not have, intent to gain, avoid loss. No matter how politely it's run.
Right. Yeah, it's a different realm. It's a different field. What else we got on the topics on the topic list here?
That would be a topic. How do you engage in business while living this kind of life we're talking about? I'm trying to figure that one out.
The only
How
way
do we like this with, I hate to say, goals and intention, while recognizing that those might be coming from a fabricated sense of desire anyway.
I mean, it's the only way. That is a full topic. I don't know if I want to go into that right now. It requires because it requires so much thinking, and I feel like we've been doing a lot of thinking. That's more pointed, practical thinking, and it's like,
let's move on.
Yeah. What do we got?
Do you want to keep talking about? Do you actually like or dislike anything, or you want to?
Well, that's been answered for me. Like I can say, like right now, I can tell you I like what we're doing, but who knows what I'll really like. There's Melissa.
Hey. A lot of noise.
No, she was cool. Yeah. Oh no, not right now. She was good until you woke up. Like she was quiet and we were hanging out. We got a new dog. We don't have a name for her yet.
Don't give her a name.
She.
Quit labeling things, Adam.
Right? Let her be what she is.
Dog just be a seamless part of the experience.
Hello, dog. This is her. Oh, if anybody wants a dog, hey, come here. We don't have a name for the dog. It's the unnamed entity that follows Melissa everywhere. So if you want a dog, look at the VOD and you can have that dog.
So Adam, when you use the experience of I like making music, so yeah, that's a type of like that seems qualitatively different from others, because I'll often not want to make music. And then, so there seems to be a recognition that I need to just force myself to start. Like, I'm just going to open FL Studio. I'm just going to like set this one thing up or whatever. It's just like, I used to have to make myself meditate that way as a discipline. I was like, I'm just going to do it for 2 minutes. And then I'm there for 20, no problem, whatever. But yeah, I'll start making music or something, and then the reaction is always the same. It's like, oh my God, I love making music. And so it's like, I don't actually even have the desire to do the thing I love doing. So my want or like or dislike or desire is actually contradictory to what I actually like or desire. It's often actually pointing me away. Like the mental like, dislike, want is often pointing me away from what's genuinely enjoyed, liked, or desired.
Yeah.
the like and desire is to make music, but this mind is like, well, I want to play Mech Warrior 5, or it's just like the mind is tired. It's like I don't even want to think right now. Um, I don't know what that's about.
Well, there's a few things that happen. There's a few things that are happening. Is you have an experience that you enjoyed, and then your mind takes it and says that this is what I need again. Right. So it says, I love playing World of Warcraft. I know this is what I need. I like doing. And then one night I'll sit down, load up World of Warcraft, and be like, I'm not into it.
And you probably haven't been into it for like a couple weeks at that point.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been into it. So the
Yeah.
first thing that has to happen is the okayness needs to be established. But just on a practical level, what you're describing, what I've experienced over the last few months. In October, I sat down and I wrote a vision of everything I think I wanted in my life. So I
Ugh.
sat down and I wrote all the crap. Here's what I want to be for Melissa, for the family, and my career, and my creative endeavors, in my life, in my bank, all whatever, the whole vision. Then I let it all go. Now I'm just going to continue practicing meditation. Like it's like do all that thinking, do all that thing, let it go, surrender it to whatever reality is, and go
Yeah.
back to just practicing awareness. All these things start happening, and I hit walls, and I think I'm reading 10 books a week, and I'm doing the things I think I need to do to get to where I think I need to go until I hit the wall, and I have to realize that I've crystallized all these things and become a person with its own agency and its own ideas about what it needs. So I have to be uncomfortable for a little bit. It all has to drop, and then I have to rewrite that vision. Okay, I was wrong. Those are the things those don't work for this organism. So what do I really want? It's a continual process. You have to continue to ask yourself and then give it to the universe and then go back to living and being and see what happens and then go back and like reassess.
You know, I stopped praying for help with stuff because I would get the things I was praying for help with, or like these things would materialize, and then I'd realize like it was just causing problems. Like I'm like manifesting into my life things I don't truly want, because once it arrives, I'm like, there's too much on my plate right now. I don't need this too, or like this is causing. It was like, yeah. So I'm like, I'm good. Like I don't, I'll have these ways I think I need to improve, these things I think I want to create, these things I think I want to change, and this force, and ostensibly they're good things, and I think they're good, and this force will provide those things, or however it works. I don't know. And then it'll turn out like this isn't actually where I want to be, or what I want to be doing.
And this is the most important piece of the whole puzzle. And this is Holger from Holger Group. Okay, the one thing that he did, by the way, those who don't know Holger and Holger Group, it's a non-duality group that Reed and I somehow found our way into. Like
I don't think you should explain it. Just let Holger be this mythical figure.
He's great. Okay, so the one thing he would do to people that entered this group is he would ask them, "What do you want?" He's like, "What do you really want?" And so that's the key. Is like all these, like objectively speaking, I can say these material things I want, but what is it really there to do? Like, what do I really want? Do I want to be a provider for my family? Do I want to be healthy? Do I want to contribute or be of service to the world in some way? And then you got to ask yourself, why do I want that?
So those, like what you listed, those all sound like good things, right? And I think most people would say they want those things.
Right. But I don't get to decide how that manifests. If that's what I really want, I have to be okay with it not being because I'm a streamer. Like I'm service to the world because I'm a streamer. I've got to.
Yeah, if that's what you really want and you're asking for that, that has to be at the sacrifice of anything else.
Well, no, I'm just saying you don't get to decide what it appears as in the material world.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
And then that kind of reveals that you didn't really want. Well, okay. the reality, and this is why this part is tough, and I think this is kind of at the heart of a lot of delusion, illusion in people's lives. People want to say, what I want is to be a good husband or wife or family person. I want to be healthier. I want to be a good employee. I want to make money or whatever, or whatever's I don't know about the money part, but whatever's good. It'll be something that seems genuinely good. The truth is, no, you don't. What you actually want is to just be okay.
But once you've become okay,
Period.
but
You
once
do whatever you want. Yeah. From a foundation of okayness and not needing anything, then without confusion, you can go participate in whatever you want. And then you don't wind up with a life built around you 20 years later that you didn't actually want, but thought it would make you okay. And then that's a lot. That's a lot to, I mean, that's hard to deal with. So let's like start now with okayness and not build up any structures around us that are just going to cause confusion down the road. When you wake up, you're like, I don't actually want to be married. I don't actually want to support this giant family enterprise I've created. I don't actually want to be the boss of this company. I don't actually want all these responsibilities. I don't actually want to feel like I have to be a nice person to everyone I meet. I just want to be okay. And you can do that for free without any of this other stuff.
but we're
Probably
still but we're still living and we're still interacting and we're still in the world. So
sure,
both
that can build up on its own. But if you do it from a foundation of already having what you need, it's not going to be confused and fucked up.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I agree with it. I guess I'm just saying along with because yeah, I'm just saying along with because I agree with what you're saying. I sat on a couch for an hour and a half just trying to be okay every morning for like half a year and never did anything. So like
Well, yeah, because you were trying to be okay.
right, but the solution to that problem I mean I don't know if there was a solution to the problem, but like I see I see the body, the mind, the personality, the character, the atom that moves and interacts through time, like through life, as being along with the meditative life of practicing awareness and okayness. So I see them coexisting.
You can't. So can I? I'll tell you why I think your time on the couch didn't make you okay. Because you believed you needed something to be okay. Your time on the couch was time spent reinforcing the idea that you're missing something, therefore creating misery.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't think yourself into okayness. And that's also often why we don't get it. And I'm just speaking out of my experience. That's my experience. I don't know. Maybe my brain is unique. I highly doubt it. Well, actually, it's
It's unique.
there's some
You're,
stuff,
you
but I don't think like the base psychological mechanisms are any different from other people. I think there's definitely outliers out there, but
Psychologically speaking, I think we're all the same. We want, we just want to be okay. We
yeah.
want shelter, we want love,
And the problem is we think X, Y, and Z are going to do it for us. We don't actually want money. We want what we think it'll provide, which is okayness, security. We don't actually want any of the stuff we're seeking. Um, but anyway, and Anthony DeMello again, king of this topic. Just read Rediscovering Life by Anthony DeMello. It answers everything. That's probably all you need to do if you're seriously interested in waking up and just being okay. And then it's like, okay, now that you're okay, go get enlightenment if you want it, or whatever the fuck that is. Go, you know, go get $1 million. But um,
yeah, that's cool.
the belief that you don't have what you need is kind of at the heart of unokayness, or that little sense of discontent or lack or whatever. It's not that lack needs to be filled; It's that it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
But we we talked about this in the last show. We don't want to let go of our ideas about how I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, what I need. It's like I'd rather hold on to my idea that I need to be a better husband than to be okay, which leads to being a better husband, ironically, is when you're okay, it's nicer to have you around.
You brought to mind the last time I was at the Language of the Heart retreat. There was a speaker, and there was a weekend retreat where she was talking the whole time. She spent so much time telling us what type of person and what type of alcoholic she was and what she needed. And I just kept hearing her continue to reinforce a
Yeah.
prison in her own life because
Yeah.
she's continuing to commit to this character that or that she thinks she knows. But it's a double-edged sword because in a lot of ways she does know things about her organism and herself that are true.
Here's the thing. Those are things she learned 30 years ago about herself as it was 30 years ago. And then I think a lot of that base stuff, like in AA is a good example. In your first few years, yeah, you need a lot of shit. But let's do a reevaluation at 5 years, 10 years. But the only way to do that is to have the balls to drop all of the stuff you're doing you think you need just to be sane and alive, and then look around and see what collapsed, what didn't, and then pick up only the pieces that you need going forward, which might be almost nothing. But like if you're staying in the mindset, I'm not, early recovery is like emergent, it's intensive care surgery. You don't need to stay in the ICU for 10 years. That's a problem. So why haven't you recovered? You've been in the ICU 10 years because you're reinforcing the idea that you're still sick. That doesn't mean you can drink normally if you're an alcoholic, but it might mean your brain's.
It might mean you don't need 3 meetings a day and to call your sponsor every day.
Yeah, if you need 3 meetings a day, it's probably because you're going to 3 meetings a day. Like imagine hanging out with early recovery alcoholics for 3 hours a day. That's fucking you up.
Even if you're 30 years sober.
That's people 30 years sober are often the most fucked up because they've been in AA for 30 years. But that's like, I'm speaking broadly, of course. Like that's not universally true.
You
but
you could apply it to anyone who's at Spira's retreats.
Yes.
You could apply this to any field, any tech field. Like I know what the tech stack is, and it's like newcomers are coming in going, wait, things are different today, bro. But they're still at the same conference. It could be any environment does this.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess, yeah, we get a fixed idea of who I am and what I need, and then we operate on that. This information's become obsolete. The targeting data is obsolete, and then you hit a school instead of the military compound.
That's why I worry about all the stuff we've been talking about this week about analytics and hooks and how to make the show work. I worry about it because all that data is from stuff that has worked in the past. Who's to say that it's going to work for us now?
Because I don't have any reason to believe that basic human psychology has changed, for one. And so like I look at the analytic stuff and I think for myself, knowing this, how would I implement a video? And then I make the decision based on that. I'm not copying like a play by play, here's what you do. I'm trying to reason this out for myself right now. I don't think so. I don't, the old way, no, is not going to work going forward because you can spot it immediately on YouTube. When someone's speaking, they won't just freaking tell you something. They say it in a way that like every 2 minutes, they're trying to rehook your attention by saying something bogus like,
But
this
then
one thing
this, and
find
now
out,
that, yeah.
and like they're constantly like trying to, but you can spot it a mile away. I turn off the video. Just talk to me like I'm a damn adult. So that's what we're gonna do on our channel. We're gonna talk to our viewers like they're freaking adult people beings, and not like we're trying to psychologically manipulate people into paying attention to us.
Well, I mean, the coolest part about streaming is there's no difference between the watchers and the talkers. Like it's like we're all in this together, you know.
Yeah.
There's no
We're just hanging out. And if
yeah.
you want to hang out with us, like I maybe that's concerning. I don't know.
Well, it's a little concerning. Actually, I would.
Yeah, wait a second. I don't recommend hanging out with us. You should be doing something productive. Don't listen to us.
But that's
It's a
but that's the other thing too is I continue to hear this through line through all the stuff I love the most. Like, I just listened to the Larian Studios documentary on YouTube about how Sven built Larian Studios over the 13 years or whatever. And I hear it from all these other people that have become excellent in their craft, whether it be musicians or writers. And then like the Joseph Campbell follow your bliss thing is like you've like I just keep coming back to this idea that you got to be having fun and you've got to be enjoying what you're doing. And if you can do that and be consistent in that, that's all that's required.
yes.
So like, I don't know what else is needed. Like just to be honest, authentic, and enjoy it, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So when we start getting into, yeah, what else we got?
Topic wise?
Yeah, let me see. Did we hit everything? We got what is the goal of our show? To explore reality, mind for ourselves in our own way, or make our own exploration into something that might be useful for other people.
We didn't really make a decision there, but I don't feel like talking about that right now.
We
I'm not,
did.
it's too, yeah, well, I think the underlying topic is can anyone be helped? Oops. Um, let's make that a topic and talk about the next show because I've got really strong ideas about that. The last topic is why are we disturbed by violence in nature? Which ostensibly is something totally normal. Do you want to go into that?
I'm having thoughts like I'm playing around with it. I'm trying to figure it out right
We'll lay
now.
out the problem a little bit more for people listening. So
It's pretty self-explanatory. It's there.
they're really disturbing things that if you
Well, let me say this. This is what came to mind. I used to not have an issue from the ages of 11 to 18 or 19. I watched all the war movies I could find. I could watch Saw. I could watch Hostel.
Yeah.
I could see violent imagery. I looked at Faces of Death. I've been to Arrowwood. I did a report on serial killers in college. Like that was one of my thesis papers was about why serial killers kill. I looked at the imagery. Totally fine, right? Now it's completely disturbing and I avoid it at all costs. So that's why I'm like in between trying to figure out my stance on why is violence so abhorrent to me today. But at the time it wasn't, and I can see that it's part of nature. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Please, we just got a chat. I don't know if you can see this, but please give us your things you'd like to ask because I don't want to do the violence. This is from Ian Natoon. He or she says, I really like your guys' synergy and talk topics. I have some philosophical questions too, but maybe I would ask them next stream if you are close to finish the stream. And I'm saying, ask them now, please. I don't want to do the violence talk.
Well, hold on. What time is it? 9:15. Yeah, lay out the questions. Maybe we can like focus on one, and then yeah, if anyone else has questions, dump them in the chat, and then that's what we'll address next week. I'd prefer to answer actual questions from actual people than stuff that And if the questions, if I come up with a topic, it's probably because it's been processing in my mind the whole week. I'd rather come at something fresh without conclusions about it already. But I already know everything, so there's probably nothing will surprise me. I've already got the answers for everything.
Yeah, that's what make. Yeah, I would prefer. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would prefer. That's the best. I don't know. The questions, preferences. But yeah, that's so. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Well, let's answer some of the philosophical questions. Those are more interesting to me anyway, because the violence one goes back and forth, and I guess I've kind of, as I've gotten older and as I've experienced more suffering and pain in my own life, it's everything's more real to me. And so when I see another sentient being like an animal or another person being harmed, it's like I feel that in my gut and in my heart. Like it hurts me to see things get hurt. But at the time I was so asleep. All right. Can you ready for the question? Read?
Yeah. What is it?
All right. I really have a hard time understanding the difference between consciousness and conscience. I looked up the Wikipedia definition and I still have a hard time comprehending the difference between the two. Consciousness and conscience. Can conscience exist without consciousness? What about vice versa? It's a great question.
Why don't you pull up the definitions of consciousness and conscience?
All right, hold on. Let me get my old typey thing up.
Because I don't actually know the definition of conscience, but my working definition is that it's kind of like this guiding internal force that tells you when you're doing something wrong.
All right, so here it is. Conscience is an inner cognitive process and moral sense that enables individuals to evaluate actions as right or wrong, often functioning as an inner voice or judge. It's an ethical component, being conscious, from Latin meaning shared knowledge, being conscious of guilt. It develops through moral reasoning stages and societal influences, guiding behaviors with emotions like shame, guilt, or approval. And then he or she says, a conscience is a cognitive process that elicits emotion and rational associations based on an individual's moral philosophy or value system. So conscience itself is your own individual framework out of which you decide whether things are ethically or morally sound. That's conscience. And then consciousness is just the awareness of that occurring, the awareness of whatever that is going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he or she says the consciousness is being aware of something internal to oneself or being conscious of states or objects in one's external environment.
Yeah, so I think you can be yes. You can be aware or not of what the conscience is doing, but it's going to, if you're unaware, it's probably going to be the deciding factor in everything you do. If you're aware, well, no, people are pretty good at ignoring that voice, unconsciously, inconsciously.
All right. They say, in a way, it seems that consciousness comes first, then conscience is the evolved aspect of it or something like that. So that means it would be impossible for someone to have a conscience but not have a consciousness. But
so the conscience, I think, is itself conditioning. And maybe we'd give it a more positive connotation. But one would have to be, so if it is conditioning, like essentially it's this built-in reaction system we have, like what we've been taught, all of it's going to be based on what we've been taught or told by other people. I don't think it's a magic center that has some kind of absolute or universal knowledge of good and bad. It's going to be, there's going to be similarities between cultures just because there's shared ideas of common good. But being conditioning, it's going to be built on experience. So there's a sensory mechanism is required to input. We've got to have experience. We've got to observe the world around us from a young age. We've got to be able to listen to people that are claim to be authorities that are telling us how we're supposed to be and how things are and what you're allowed to do or not. And then based on that information, it forms a little ball that says what you're doing or thinking is right or wrong. Is that fair? Is that off base? Do we agree with that?
That's fair. Yeah. And then and they also said, and since you have that, do animals have any of that, and are they self-aware? So like, is this unique to the human being, or is this something that can occur in the in nature, in the animal world?
Of course, I don't have experience with being an animal, but I would say it's unique to the human creature because it's thought based. The concept of right and wrong, I don't think exists in. Well, this goes back to the nature. Why does nature seem disturbing to us sometimes? Because there's not actually a right and wrong in nature. Like, what's right is doing what you were programmed or built to do. What's right is the tiger eating somebody and pulling it. Sorry, I won't go into detail, but like, to us, that's so wrong because we've got this artificial system of right and wrong that's been built into us. And that was kind of the nature of the previous topic, is like, why, where does that come from? But a monkey's not. If an animal needs to stop and decide if something's right or wrong before doing it, they're gonna die. There's no time to just, this is a survival thing. But humans, being social creatures that require communities to live, therefore we have some kind of right or wrong thing that binds us as a community. Everyone has to be on the same page about what's right and wrong, or people's behavior would be unpredictable or untrustworthy. So there's this element of community cooperation that I think that conscience serves, is to have like a cohesive community so people aren't doing random stuff. I can trust the guy down the street more or less is not going to murder me and take my stuff. Not just because he might get caught, but because there's been some kind of social
Moral and
condition.
ethical framework, yeah.
But he can murder the guy in the other tribe and take his stuff. That's okay. So we're programmed not to murder our own, but we can raid the other tribe.
Dude,
But anyway,
yeah. That's great.
does an animal have that? I don't know about packs or families of monkeys or whatever. There's probably some sense of community, but a sense of right and wrong that's developed into. No, and then once it evolves into an idea of right and wrong, then you start you can manipulate it with thought, imagine all the stuff. It gets way messed up. We'll attach it to ideals. We'll attach it to ideas of countries and nations and identities as racial identities. Like, it just gets messed up. Once you can start thinking about right and wrong, then slowly it gets twisted over time as people keep talking.
Yeah, so Iona Tune. In a way, culture, religion, science are related to conscience. And yes, that's correct. The moral and ethical frameworks that we've established to organize ourselves manifest as what you just described: culture, religion, science.
And consciousness is free of all of that.
And animals experience consciousness.
Do we know that to some degree?
I mean, they know feelings. They can be praised. They can be they're affected by words and tones, and so are plants.
You can program a robot with all those.
But that's what you are. That's what I am. I'm a robot. Like, we've all been programmed. But we're still conscious.
Yeah, but
conscious.
consciousness is not a requirement of programmed responses.
Yeah, so animals experience consciousness is what I'm saying.
So that you're saying they're aware of what's occurring.
Yeah, they feel pain. If I were to kick a dog, it'd yelp and be hurt and cry.
That's an electrical response to a physical stimuli.
But that's the same thing that happens to human beings.
There's no consciousness needed for that.
What do you mean? The fact that you feel pain and react to it, you're saying that can happen without consciousness?
Physical response. You don't feel the pain, decide it hurts, and then decide to react. That happens automatically. You don't need to be aware of that, but that's the big mystery, though.
Oh
What's
my
happening
God.
right now does not require anything to be aware of it. The functioning of the body and the brain doesn't require there to be someone observing it happening for it to happen. It doesn't serve any purpose other than this seems to kind of like gum it up somehow, but yet we are aware. That's the mystery. It doesn't seem to serve an evolutionary function or survival function. Thought, you don't need to be aware of thought. That's just the brain kicking around itself, like projecting future conclusions and trying to, that's thought allows the person to plant crops to harvest next year. Animal can't. Well,
Yeah, they
I mean,
hibernate. They get their acorns and they put them in the hibernation spot.
but that doesn't require anything to be aware.
Oh my God.
So that's the mystery. Consciousness is unrelated to all of that.
Is it possible for an organic entity to experience emotion without awareness? What about experiencing awareness without emotion? Aren't they intrinsic in a way?
So awareness has a chemical, or emotion is also a chemical response, right? So fear is the easiest. Is fear an emotion? I guess we consider it an emotion, but that's that's simply a surge of adrenaline so that the body can react to a perceived threat. It just doesn't make sense when the threat is like, why didn't she text me back? It doesn't make sense anymore. But it's like that branch just moved. Oh, is it a snake? Then it's good to get that fear in you. Other emotions. I mean, there's
Wait, you dropped out. I didn't hear that.
what other emotions do we have besides fear?
Fear, joy. Is feeling tired an emotion?
I don't think so. So joy is interesting because
Anger is an emotion.
anger,
Sadness is an emotion. There's a whole
sadness.
feelings wheel.
Do we need to be I mean, these just things kind of happen on their own. Do we need to be aware that we're sad in order for sadness to have an effect?
Okay, so here's what Double says. Iona Tune says this is the biggest paradox. For example, AI. How could AI ever experience emotion? And then Double Spy says, you saying emotion is a chemical reaction is literally the perfect example of how you just said the examination of that gums it up. And then Iona Tune says, in a way, it should be that the more complex an organic entity is, the more complex emotions it can experience, or something along those lines. But is there any such thing as complexity? I mean, everything is ultimately complex, right? Is the animal the size of our brains? Is that complexity?
So I wonder if emotions are a way for a creature without advanced understanding to interact with their tribe, their community. So So emotion would, I'm don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing emotion is something that would predate spoken or written language, right? Um, and perhaps therefore verbal thought. So it's in a way like emotion is the first type of thought, in in a way.
So hold
So
on.
that's
They're
so
saying they're saying basically the difference from bacteria to an ant and from ant to a lion. So like as the more complex an organism is, the more varied and or deep the emotional spectrum is. And I would propose that going along the lines that the emotional states are just chemical reactions flaring up in the organism. I guess they just get more defined as creatures are evolved.
well, as the creature is more complex, its reactions need to be more. I think it's a community thing, though. Like a creature that lived on its own. I mean, what it would need fear. I don't know what would be the purpose. I see a purpose in community. It's like sharing ourselves and communicating in a way with other people.
So what would be like the evolutionary purpose of emotions? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm assuming there's some kind of definable reason such uh, something as complex as emotion would arise. Um, but I don't know if we don't definitively have those answers. All we can do is
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, we actually don't have the answers.
But like, do you? I'm not sure that you have to be. There has to be something aware of all this occurring. Like, I don't, because what are you really? What are you doing with that awareness anyway? I don't think it actually. It's questionable whether or not we're actually choosing anything in the first place. So that we're aware of it seems to be this kind of almost unrelated phenomenon.
Here's a couple. Here's a couple things that are interesting here. Iona Toon says the purpose could be experience in its maximum form, which is an interesting concept. The idea that the universe itself is trying to have a like fully, like continually experience itself in more intricate.
I can buy that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
And then Double says David Attenborough once said, and I think he's a poet. I think I've watched his videos. I do sometimes feel that maybe I'm lacking in some sense organ, and I don't know whether there's anybody else involved in all this sort of thing. It's like looking into a termite nest. The termites are busy doing their thing, but they don't have the sense organs to perceive that I'm watching them from above. And so he pleads agnosticism.
I don't have a response to that.
Yeah, it might be a poem. It might not be a response. It might just be a digestion.
Well, so I mean, we can think that's us too. Like, um, I guess there's no reason to think that the complexity of beings just stops at the human level. If there was something more complex than this, it would be observing us, and we would have no way of comprehending. It'd be like it's like seeing something in another dimension, a five-dimensional creature we'd not experience in its fullness. There'd be no way. It's too advanced for us. Like, what do they say in was it some movie? It's like, do you try to explain yourself to a cockroach? Would it even be possible?
You can't even really like you try to explain yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Can't be done. Let's see. I take that as we don't have the knowledge to truly even recognize what we see or don't see. Boom, that's good. We are the termites and there is something above us. So like the idea of God or the idea of whatever is beyond the sense perceptions, whatever it is, we don't have the sense perceptions to recognize it or even acknowledge it. It's like
God
what
just
it's the
yeah
2D characters or 3D characters in a 3D plane. There's a fourth. It's the dimensions thing.
yeah. There's a really good it's not like it's like a short story called like Flat World
Yeah.
or something like that, where this guy explores the concept of what creatures would see with increasing dimensional complexity, like how a two-dimensional creature would experience a three-dimensional creature, and how a three-dimensional creature would experience a four-dimensional creature, and so on. Like, it's really fascinating, and I'd recommend uh, searching that out. Like, that's worth a read for anyone. But like a three-dimensional being passing through a two-dimensional world would, like a sphere, would first appear as a single point, and that point would grow into a circle. The two-dimensional creature would witness a circle growing and expanding and then contracting again into a point. And that would be how it experienced a three-dimensional sphere moving through this two-dimensional plane. So there's no even ability to conceive of a sphere. Only a circle that seems to appear out of nowhere, grow and then disappear. And we kind of, I think we experience similar things at the quantum level. Particles appear and disappear.
Maybe
And
maybe humans are the first organic life form that realize they could be monitored by a higher entity.
well, if there's a higher entity monitoring us, it would have also developed that realization. Simply observing us, it would realize it itself could be observed.
So this is what trips me out. Okay, so this is where, and please tell me if I'm wrong here, because I don't want the belief if it's formed into a belief. I just see the universe itself expressing itself and being itself as this. Like, you are that. I am this. Everything that's ever occurred from the Big Bang on is still occurring. The Big Bang is still happening. The universe has birthed me through my mom, through her mom's, and ad infinitum until bacterias and suns and stars exploding. And that's what I am. That's what this is. That's what you are. So, like, the idea that, like, I know we're philosophizing and we're thinking about these things, but like, the crazy part, the part that gives me chills, is that we are this thing. We can't see it, we can't know it, we can't touch it, we can't. But it is. It is and it isn't as we are. I just, that's why mysticism, that's why gurus, that's why spirituality.
That's the I don't know, it creates kind of a sense of grandness or mystery or majesty, because it's, yeah, like someone said it earlier, like we're the universe becoming aware of itself.
I also think exactly that. I consider that to be the last layer of truth, the universe experiencing itself. The saddest part about that is that even if we know that we cannot change anything, the best case scenario, we can just go along and play the game.
Well, there's nothing that needs to be changed, because the event and the judgment about the event are the same organism. Like it's like an amoeba, this hand touching this hand, but it's the amoeba touching itself, but like this hand looks like a cause, this hand looks like an effect, and it's just like, wow, look at that. But like it was never, or like the bad thing happens, the creature suffers, there's something aware of it, there's a judgment about it, there's a rectification of the problem, but it all occurred within the same thing. The universe was never in jeopardy. Nothing was actually ever in danger. We just experienced, had the micro experience of danger and things happening, but like nothing, No creatures were harmed in the making of this universe.
That's why the gurus or the non-dual teachers can say you never die. Like who you really are never dies. The only way for an identity to be possible is for the universe to fracture itself into infinity. Seemingly fracture itself into an infinite number of forms. Where are you from, Iona Tune? What's your background here? Tell us about yourself. Double, I learned about you. You shared in the Discord, and your story and your journey's been wild as well. Yeah, I'm curious about you guys. Okay, Iona Tune is from Romania. Romania is a country. Is that correct, Reed? I think that's where Dracula's from. No, I'm just kidding. They're from Transylvania. We're dumb Americans.
I live in Transylvania County.
I am 33 years old, but I live with my parents and have no job, LOL. I finished musical theory bachelor degree, but only worked 1 year in the field. Yes, Transylvania is from Romania. Double just said Buna. What is that? Is that where you're from, Double? That's pretty cool. So I guess in Romania you guys speak English. Or Romanian? Is Romanian a language? 33 years old, live with parents, no job. Do you want a job? Do you feel like you need a job? Or do you want to do anything in the music field? Oh, Buna means hi in Romanian. So Double knew some Romanian. He said Buna. That's cool. There's Romanian.
Iona Tune, do you make music?
They don't really want a job, they said. To be honest.
No, I mean, do you make music for fun? But the first thing get completely okay with not having a job if you're not already. Like it is a belief system. You need to do anything other than just live with your parents. I mean, I think for a large part of human history, what you did was live with your parents and your grandparents. If you don't have to work, you don't work. I don't know.
They said they make house music. I love house music as a hobby, but never made money out of it. And then Double says he's originally from Pittsburgh. He's currently in Ohio, and he would love. Now, Double would love a job.
What do you used to bake? Well, I don't know. I make music too. I'm gonna start a music channel, and I haven't yet. I'm working on it. I'm gonna do a music production, kind of home studio tutorials and that kind of stuff, and then shoehorn in my own creations. But yeah, start a YouTube channel and put your stuff on it. Iona Tune.
I already achieved all my wildest music dreams already, so I don't need to make music anymore.
Break time.
Is it break time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We need a link to Reed's music.
I'll send out a link later. I've got a huge portfolio of music I've made, but I'm like stepping away from the old way I used to do things and kind of my old identity, I guess. And so I only want to share new stuff, so I'm putting that together now.
Iona Tune said, is your music channel P. Swade? Dude, P. Swade's my partner. I produced all his music, and then we joined forces and we became Self Will Run. And then all our music is available everywhere. I think I took the website down, but it's on YouTube, it's on SoundCloud, it's on
Spotify.
Yeah, Self Will Run is everywhere. There's 2 albums. Yeah, and Reed, you don't want to share your links.
Not yet. I will though.
And yes, double. It is the most '90s rap thing. It's like we wanted to. It's all like it's. Let's see. You're gonna share it eventually. You think, Reed?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube you can find for it. The best place to find, actually, the records are on Spotify and Apple Music, and SoundCloud has the full Hope album. But yeah, this one is that was a trip. What a life. Yeah, Ionatune likes your synth setup. Are we done?
Yeah. I need to take a break
Okay.
for my eye health.
Thanks for hanging out, you guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We're like a big family now.
We'll be back next Saturday morning. Ionatune, if you wanna, let's see, we do have a Discord channel, and me and Double have been chatting on, and yeah, we'll just be hanging out, and then we'll be back live next Saturday. See you later.
Bye everyone. Good night. Oh wait, no. Good day. And as always, stay cool.
We're gonna end with that. Is that the ending catchphrase?
Yeah.
Okay. Stay cool, guys.